Okay.
No, yeah, we can see your screen now, Trish.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be amongst this esteemed audience. To begin with, I would like to thank the PCCI organization, and also like to thank Dr. Bharat Dalvi sir for providing many images for this presentation. So today's talk, rotational angiography, is it an imaging revolution? So I'm not sure whether it's an imaging revolution, but definitely we'll go through a few images and come to a conclusion at the end of the presentation. So today's talk, the agenda would be looking at few clinical cases, the indications, the technical considerations for doing rotational angiography, and the limitations. So rotational angiography is a relatively new thing in our part of the world. Not many people, I guess, would be doing it. We also don't do it very frequently. It is predominantly a software-driven application. There is no additional hardware that you require in the cath lab. All you require is a C-arm with a good motor speed, and then you require a coupler which will couple the pinna foot with the injector. So that's all you require to do a rotational angiogram. So this is, I'll start with one case. This is a 4-year-old who was taken, detected to have coarctation, was taken up for coarctoplasty. So this was the first angiogram, which is a conventional angiogram. It is done in a LAO view, and you can see the pigtail in the aorta, and you can see a coarct segment over there. The same patient, we did a rotational angiogram, and this is how a rotational angiogram looks. You can look it in 3 dimensions. You can see all around, and you can appreciate that the coarctation appears much more tighter in some planes as compared to the conventional angiogram. Here you can also see the neck vessel branching very well, the collaterals, everything can be seen quite nicely. So this is just a comparative image of the two. So this is a conventional and a rotational angiogram. You can appreciate that in rotational it looks much more tighter compared to conventional one because you're seeing it in multiple planes. And this was the angiogram which was done after balloon dilatation. So you can see that there is a small intimal flap which has been raised. Had it been a conventional angiogram, which it would not be appreciated, but here it's very well seen because you are seeing it in multiple planes, and you can see the C-arm moving all around. So this is something which is very helpful while using a rotational angiography. So where can this be used other than coarctation? It is usually used for most of the tubular structures, I would say. So it could be for coarctation during stenting or during balloon dilatation to interrogate the pulmonary arteries for branch pulmonary artery stenosis with or without stenting. In Fontan pathway, it can be used for closure of the Fontan fenestration. Nowadays, we have started using doing pulmonary valve implants. So there, the interrogation of coronary arteries can be done very well using 3D rotational angiogram. You can see the relationship of the coronary to the conduit after balloon inflation in the conduit. It could be used in pulmonary AV malformation, coronary fistula, RSOV, where I don't have much experience, but this is what I feel it can be used at this places as well. So what are technical considerations for doing a rotational angiography? So first and foremost is you require a lot of space in the cath lab because the C-arm moves in a very quick motion in around 270 degrees. So you require a lot of space in the cath lab. The monitoring equipment have to be kept at a distance, the trolley, the anesthesia equipment. So you need to have long tubing, airway tubing, long IV line tubing. Before starting the angiogram, you always check the position of area of interest in AP and lateral view. And then you go for a dry run where just the C-arm moves and you take a fluoroscopic image, and then after that you go for angiogram. And after the dry run, you always fix the table. Only a single angiogram is required, and the motion of the C-arm, as I said, would be around 270 to 280 degree. It doesn't go 360 because cath lab C-arms are not meant for 360 degree rotation. The injection is a long injection for around 5 seconds, and the cine starts after a second of starting of the injection of the contrast. During acquisition, you need to stop the ventilation so that there are no motion artifacts. Initially, we used to do RV pacing so that there is concentration of the contrast in the area of interest. But you know, with RV pacing, there is decrease in the cardiac output. So the sizes of the structures might be underfilled, and you might underestimate the size of various structures. And most important is to have a cine with the coupler. I'll just demonstrate how it is, how we do it in the cath lab. So initially the patient position is fixed. We have taken a dry run and selected the area of interest. Then we ask the anesthetist to stop the breath and then push the pedal, contrast goes in. After that, there is a whole rotation around 270 degrees. You see the tubing and all have to be very long, otherwise it might cause extubation of the patient on table. This is how we usually take a cine of the rotational angiogram. We require high contrast dose. So this is a table that we follow for giving the contrast injection. Roughly it is around 1.5 to 2 ml of contrast that is required. It will be a long injection of 5 seconds and nearly 1.5 to 2 ml of contrast has to go in. For patient less than 50 kg, we use dilution of 3:1, and for more than 50 kg, we need to use undiluted contrast. So that's a large amount of contrast going in a single injection. So we'll go through another few cases. So this was a patient who had undergone a bidirectional Glenn, left-sided bidirectional Glenn, and was diagnosed to have right-sided right pulmonary artery stenosis. So we had planned for a balloon dilatation or a stenting of this. So this is a pre-ballooning conventional angiogram. You can see the catheter in the RP, and there is a hypoplasia at the origin of the right pulmonary artery. So this was the rotational angiogram that was done. And if you can appreciate, there is a near cutoff of the right pulmonary artery. So very thin segment of right pulmonary artery over here. And you can see it in various planes. And this angiogram helps us to determine in which plane will be the best working plane to assess the right pulmonary artery and go ahead with the procedure. So this was the 3D reconstruction done. You can see that there is a near cutoff of the right pulmonary artery at the very thin right pulmonary artery segment over here. There is good distal arborization and fair sized distal right pulmonary artery vessel. So we did the stenting, and this is how it looks post stenting. So good size right pulmonary artery, good arborization, good flow in the right lung. And same thing on angiography, rotational angiography. You can see that the segment is wide open. There is good, the stent struts are well seen. There is no fracture, and you can see it in various planes. Similarly, on rotation, on 3D reconstruction, you can see the stent struts over here, which are very well seen. And you can post-process and crop it further to remove all the unnecessary structure. And this is how it finally looks, just the right pulmonary artery with the stent inside. So it is basically a software-driven thing. So you can just do all these things in the cath lab. Advantages, it can be done live in the cath lab once you have taken a image. You can just do it immediately in the software. You don't need to go to do it later after the procedure. You can do it immediately or real time. So we'll go discuss through another case. That is a 31-year-old male patient who had undergone a coax repair in childhood. He has come again with severe coarctation and he was taken up for stenting. So this was the pre-stenting angiogram, rotational angiogram. You can see there's a tight coax segment which is distal to subclavian artery. You can see the collateral dilated ascending aorta, neck vessels are well seen. So this was the 3D reconstructed image, which you can see in multiple views, the way you want to see it, from up, from down, how from the side, oblique. So you can just rotate it and see it the way you want to see it and assess it the way you want to assess it. And this was a dry run post stenting, and you can see that the stent struts are wide open. There is no fracture and it's sitting in the proper position. We did an angiogram and showed it was away from the subclavian origin and there was good flow throughout. So definitely, and this was the images post stenting, the 3D reconstructed images, and as we did it before, you can see it in various planes. So basically, we have been using rotational angiogram mainly for coarctation and pulmonary artery stenting. This is one other patient where we did the interrogation of the pulmonary artery. We didn't go ahead with the procedure initially. This patient, a 16-year-old boy who had a TOF with pulmonary atresia, had unifocalization with RV2PA conduit and BSD was left open. He underwent a LPA stenting and he came with worsening of symptoms. So he was taken up to the cath lab. And you can see in the dry run itself that the stent has fragmented completely. and you could see the calcification of the conduit and the fragmentation of the stent. Same thing on angiography, you could see that there is near cutoff of the left pulmonary artery, and this angiogram helped us to go for selective angiogram, and we determined the plane of the selective angiogram based on the rotational one, and you can easily demonstrate that the LPA is as thin as a thread and it is completely fragmented. So these are the reconstructed images of the same. You can see the fragmented stent and in different views, as I said initially. So advantage of having 3D rotational angiogram is you can study the area of interest in various planes. You can determine the working plane for intervention based on the rotational angiographic images. No additional hardware is required in the cath lab. And major advantage would come in when there is 3D overlay imaging, which will help us in road mapping various structures, and that would make our intervention process much easier. As I said, limitation is you require to inject a lot of contrast at one go. The radiation dose is much higher than normal conventional angiography. You require large space and definitely the cost of the software. So concluding, I would say that rotational angiography and 3D is a useful imaging modality for tubular structure. It might not be a revolution, but definitely a handy asset to have in the cath lab. Thank you for patient hearing.